often the one who loses. First, what is an auction? An auction is a structured method of buying and selling goods, services, or rights in which interested buyers compete by placing bids. The seller presents an item and participants indicate how much they are willing to pay for it, and the item is awarded according to the auction rules. Most often, the highest bidder wins. That's the most basic auction thing you can say about. And auction system are used when a market price is not obvious in advance. Like when there are multiple buyers who value the same item differently, that's when the auction comes in place. Or like when the seller wants to maximize his profit through competition. Like all these auctions, they are common in art sales, government contracts, online marketplaces, real estates, and also in spectrum licensing. In economic terms, an auction is a powerful tool for price discovery. Rather than relying on a fixed asking price, the market or the bidders they itself reveal the true value of the item or what buyers think an item is worth at that moment. This makes auction especially useful when the true valuation of an item is uncertain or unknown. So there are like different types of auctions which are being used in the modern life, and we will go through each one. So at first, it's starting with the resource allocation, and it's a mechanism to like how the resources are allocated, and then the price discovery, which reveals the market value when it's unknown. And each buyers they have their own private true value of the item which they are going to bid. So let's see the four standard auction types. Each auction, these are the most common four types you can see all over the world. The first one, the English auction, and then the Dutch, the first price sealed bid, and the Vickrey auction. So let's see each one by one. But before that, let's talk about the structure of how the bidding works. These are categorized into four pillars. So let's talk with the first pillar. Pillar one, the bidding rule. It's the process of how the information flows. It dictates the flow of information and the speed. So it's like the type of basically it's the type of auctions which are being said, like the English, Dutch, and the seal bid. So the first pillar is the bidding, or it's like how how it works. This is a process. Is it an English auction where the price climbs and everyone sees each other's cards? Or is it a Dutch auction where the price drops and the first person to blink wins? This pillar is all about the information flow. In an open auction, you're reacting to your rivals. But in a sealed bid auction, you are a ghost in a dark, guessing what everyone else is thinking. The bidding rule determines whether you are playing a game or playing a game of secrecy. It's like a truth or a lie. And the second pillar, the payment rule or the price of victory. The second pillar is the payment rule or the what. The pillar, which is the what, this is where the winner finds out how much money is actually leaving his bank account. In a first price auction, it's like you pay exactly what you bid, which forces you to become a strategic liar to protect your profit. But in other cases, like in a second price or victory auction, you pay the runner up's price, which suddenly makes honesty the smartest move you have. And then there's the whole another pillar of this, the all pay rule. That's where everyone who bids pays. Winner or not, everyone pays. This is the rule that turns a simple sale into a high stakes war, where the only way to minimize your loss is to keep bidding until you are bankrupt. And the third pillar, the information structure or the valuation. This pillar describes how bidders perceive and access the worth of an auctioned item, how they truly understand the valuation structure, which is critical for predicting bidding behavior and identifying strategic risk. And it also explains the phenomena like the winner's curse, which will be later explained. And the structure of information fundamentally shapes how rational a bidder approaches a bidding decision. At first, it's the private value. Each bidder assigns a unique subjective value to the item. Personal preferences dominate, and the bid remains independent of yours. Examples include artworks, sentimental artifacts, or customized good, where worth is personal or unknown. And there's also other example of common value. This is where the item possesses a single objective, the true value. Though its uncertainty prevails, bidders estimate this unknown value through private signals like real world examples include oil fields, mineral rights, or a small jar containing unknown quantities of coin. Let's talk about the mathematical risk. The winner's curse emerges here. Winning indicates you overly estimated the common value. This creates a downward adjustment bias. Rational bidder must bid below their initial estimate to account for their risk. And there's also correlated and interdependent. It's a hybrid framework where a person holds a private valuation, but expert bidding activities influences the private valuation and using many mathematical tools, probability calculations, and high offerings, signaling potential value, prompting him or her to revise his or her own valuation upward or downward. Third pillar. The third pillar is the information structure or the why. This is how you perceive the item's worth. The fourth pillar, it's where the participation or the number of bidders is being indicated. The mathematics of auction theory fundamentally changes based on the density and the dynamics of the competition. So, a bidder who understands how the participation works or how the participation affects the outcome is the most crucial step for both the seller and the buyer in the strategic environments. Like this, the pillar where participation is the density or the density of the competition. The math of an auction is two bidder is a simple duel. The math of an auction with 2000 or maybe 10,000 bidders is a statistical war, or statistically, it's a large sum. As the number of bidder increases, the efficiency of the auction goes up. Sellers love a crowd because more bidders mean the price is driven closer to the absolute maximum valuation. Note the point, absolute maximum valuation. So that means as the number of bidder increases, it's good for the seller. But if you think about it, is it actually good for him? Let's see. But in case of the bidder, more people means less room to shade your bid, less room to bid less than the market value. In a crowded room, the gap between the winner and the loser shrinks to a razor's edge, leaving almost no margin for error. When you're looking at a deal, don't just look at the price tag, look at how it's holding up. If you don't know the payment rule or the information structures, what all I explained, you aren't a bidder. You are just a victim or you are the one who fall into the trap. Master these pillars and stop playing the game, start designing it. And also, I would like to talk about the types of bidders. These are the types where most commonly seen all over the world, like majority of the time. Auction participants don't behave like You can't expect a crowd to behave uniform. Their bidding strategies are different, which reveals their own personality and their own level of higher order thinking. And it reveals different level of sophistication, rationality, and psychological drama between the auctioneer and the bidders. First, meet the truth teller, the truthful bidder. This bidder is the control group of game theory. They have a hard ceiling, a true valuation, and they never cross it. But this is where the, these people come in the clutch. In a victory auction, this person is a king because the rules reward their honesty. They don't play games. They don't look at their neighbors or they don't do any unwanted things. And they don't get swiped up in the music. They know exactly what a dollar is worth to them. And if they bid $1, the truth teller is the anchor of the market. But in an English auction, they're often the first one to be pushed out by the loudest. These truthful bidders, this strategy, it works on victory. But in an English auction, they are the most one who will get eliminated at the first. In which the English auction is where the more aggressive players who mistake the price for the value. And we got the strategic shaper, the calculated lie, you can say. Like, this is the person who treats the auction like a game of poker. Um, I hope you guys have played poker in your life. It's basically what to explain is it's gambling. They are the masters of first price sealed bid. Their goal isn't just to win the item, it's to win the margin. They spend their entire time calculating how to shade the bid. Bid shading is their most profound strategy by these people. It's like trying to figure out exactly how much they can underbid while still staying in the lead. Like creating a profit for themselves, even though they have to stay relevant to the market, relevant to the auction. They are constantly looking at the number of competitors and adjusting their lie accordingly. They won't lie entirely, they will adjust it. They are partially telling truth, but at the same time, they're lying. To the shaper, the auction is a cold, probabilistic equation. It's like in the strategic shaper's mind, it's like, how much can I cheat the seller without losing to my rival? Like, how much can I profit myself without getting lost in the first round itself? They are the smartest people in the room until they run into someone who isn't playing by the rules of logic. Until then, they are the smartest. And we got the third and the most obvious one, the irrational escalator or the chaos one. Finally, there is the most dangerous person in the room, the irrational one. This is the bidder who starts with a plan and ends with a disaster, driven by loss aversion and the sunk cost fallacy. They stop bidding to gain an asset and start bidding to avoid a loss. Let me repeat that again. Listen. They stop bidding to gain an asset and start bidding to avoid a loss. You see them most clearly in dollar auction or a heated bidding war. They are the ones bidding $10 for a $1 bill. At the same point, they aren't an investor anymore. They are an hostage. They are terrified of being the loser who paid for nothing. So they keep throwing good money after bad. They are the reason auctions sometimes result in price that defy every law of economics. So at the end, when you look at an auction, don't ask what the item is worth. Ask who is in the room. If like the room is full of truth tellers, the seller gets a fair price. But if it's full of shapers, the seller gets squeezed. The seller won't even get a profit because all of them are looking for a profit themselves. But if you have at least two, two irrational escalators or the irrational chaos one, then it's a war. The seller walks away with a fortune, and the bidders walk away in ruins. So, first, let's start with the English auction. It's called the Theatre of Adrenal. We have all seen the movies, the fast talking auctioneer, the frantic pedals. That's the English auction. It feels like a sport, but mathematically, it's a transparency engine. You're not just bidding against a price, you're bidding against the confidence of everyone else in the room. The moment you see someone else bid, your brain gets a hit of validation. It's like, hey, if they want it, then it must be worth it. That's how a $10,000 painting sells for more than 50 or even 100K. It's not about the canvas, it's not about the painting anymore. It's about the person who sits next to you, blinking first or bidding first. So the English auction, it's like also called an open ascending price auction. This format dominates popular culture imagination of auctions because it transforms bidding into a public spectacle. Every bid reveals information, creates dramas, creates chaos, and fundamentally changes the strategic landscape for all remaining participants. The transparency is both its strength and vulnerability. So, the rules of engagement or how this works. So, at first, the direction. The price, the auctioneer, the one who sells the item, he walks in, he sets a price or the minimum bar, which you can't bid below. You have to bid above than the certain lower point. The minimum amount the seller will accept. You can say it like that. This flow protects the seller's downside while maintaining auction integrity. Like a seller doesn't want a loss. He's expecting a minimum amount which can be starting with a bid. And the bidding. Bidders call out increasingly higher prices, either verbally or through electronic device or through sticks or through hands, or they raise their hands. Each new bid must exceed the previous one by a set of increment. Like there can't be a person who just bids irrationally. Like for a 1 lakh, if you bid 1 rupee each by each, there's no point to move forward. So there's a thing where the bidders must bid, like example, a fixed amount like 100 rupees or a 5% increment of the previous bid. That way, it keeps it much more less time consuming and more profit and for both the auctioneer and the bidders. The increment. Each new bid must exceed the previous one by a predetermined amount. This prevents chaotic bidding, like I said before, like the 1 rupee, and ensures orderly price discovery. At the end, the conclusion we can say is that the auction ends at the end when no one else is willing to bid higher. It's the point where each player or each bidder has reached their own private valuation and the item is sold to the highest bidder for the amount of the last bid. The exact same price. Not the point? The exact price at which they outlasted all the competitors. They just has to pay their own money which they had bid. And the mathematical logic. It's the one of the most dominant strategies used worldwide or used in most of the auction. It produces like the most thing is truth telling because under certain condition the winner pays significantly less than their maximum willingness to pay. That is, if a bidder he has a certain personal valuation, if he won an auction which is less than his personal valuation, it's a win for him. It's a profit. And the valuation, it's where it represents the maximum amount a rational bidder is willing to pay on based on their own private function or their own private willingness to pay. And strategy is simple. A rational bidder, not the point, a rational bidder, not the irrational one, because irrational one, they don't have an idea, they just go bid because they don't want to be losers. A rational bidder should continue bidding as long as the current highest bid is less than the valuation. You got my point. So you have to bid until it reaches your maximum limit. The moment it exceeds your limit, you should just drop off. That's the most dominant strategy. The outcome. The winner is the person with the highest valuation, but they usually only pay a tiny fraction more than the second highest valuation. So the winner is the one who bids the highest. So frankly, we can say that winner is the one who gets the market value wrong, the most wrong. So like for a small example, if bidder A values an item at 100 rupees and bidder B values it as 80 rupees, the auction will likely end around 85 and the bidder A wins because everyone else dropped out, no one else willing to pay more than 85, and 85 is the bid which the bidder B has bid. But they don't pay the full amount because they just pay enough to beat the runner. This creates efficient allocation while preserving the bidder's money. Here, the bidder A had a profit of 15 rupees. So each auction, they have their own psychological side. In terms of the English auction or the majority auction, information leakage. As people bid, they unintentionally leak the information about how much they value the item. Each bid reveals a lower bound on someone else's private valuation. This creates a chaos and this changes the whole game for everyone. And the effect. Imagine you're going into an auction and you don't know the true market value, but you still want to go bid. Seeing others bid can validate the item's worth, especially in common value auctions where true value is uncertain. This validation effect can trigger bidding wars and drive prices significantly high than the originally expected. This is the psychological part where the game theory must meet the behavioral economics. The true nature of the English auction creates behavioral, social proof effects, and sometimes winners curse, where the victorious one should overpay because they misjudge others' valuation. So, coming to the next auction, which is the Dutch auction, or you can call it as a game of chicken. So, let's take an example. Imagine a room so quiet you can hear a pin drop. No shouting, no pedals, just a giant clock on the wall with a price that is falling each and every second. This is the Dutch auction, the most stressful 60 seconds in finance. It's not about who has the most money, it's about who has the strongest nerves. If you bid too early at $100, you leave the money on the table. But if you wait until it drops to 80 to save a buck or two, the guy next to you, who knows, he might hit the button at 81 and you walk home with nothing. It's a mathematical game of chicken. In the flower markets, for in real life example, if you take, in the flower markets of the Netherlands, this happens a million times a day. It's the ultimate test of how long you can stare at a falling price before your fear of losing overrides your greed for a deal. And the entire mechanism is the clock. This can be symbolized as a clock auction. Unlike shouting like the English auction, the Dutch one is often silent until the very end. The entire drama unfolds in the tension between patience and primitive action. The starting point, initial stage of the auction. The auctioneer begins with a extraordinarily high price, far higher than what the item is actually worth. Because who knows, some irrational bidders, they might stop the clock with much more high extraordinary prices, and the auctioneer might end up with a profit. And these anchors expects and ensures the price will fall through the entire valuation range, so that by this, even if the clock runs out the entire time, the auctioneer they can still get a few profit out of it. Like they can't just go on the entire loss. They won't set the clock to not. They will always set their clock towards their own favoritism, the descent. The price steadily drops at fixed intervals, perhaps 1,000 rupees every 10 seconds, or in other way, the 15% every minute. This predictable rhythm allows bidders to calculate optimal strike points, optimal strike points based on their valuation. So they get their own time to calculate all the formulas they have, all the bidder equations, etc. And the strike. This is the most crucial and the most exciting part to hear. The first bidder to signal, it can be either by pressing a button or shouting or any designated method arranged by the auctioneer, which can stop the clock immediately. This moment of action ends the auction instantaneously. There's nothing else, no more. And the conclusion, that bidder who stopped the clock wins the item immediately at the current price at which the clock had stopped. There is no counter offering, no second chance, and the auction is over the moment someone acts. So, the mathematical strategy. If you speak about the mathematical side of this auction, the Dutch, it's more of the waiting game. This is the most one of the most elegant strategic dilemmas. Every second you wait increases your potential profit, but also increases the probability that someone else will strike first, stealing your price. So the dilemma is, if your valuation, your personal valuation is 100 rupees and the clock is at 90 rupees, you could strike now and guarantee a 10 rupee profit. But what if you wait until the clock hits 80 rupees? Your profit jumps to 20. It's a 10 rupee increase from your previous profit. Who doesn't like profit? But the question is, can you wait that long? Can you? I can't. The risk. Every second you wait to increase your profit, the probability that another bidder strikes first increases. You get my point? The as the second drops, the probability that someone else will strike first increase. The longer you wait, the higher is your reward. That's true. I'm not disagreeing with that. But then it lowers your chance of winning at all. So you can decide whether you want to increase your profit or you can have a profit. That's the point. Whether you want to increase a profit or to have a profit. And the optimal bid, the most rational way on how to bid in these type of auction is, mathematically a rational bidder will strike at a price that maximizes his expected profit. Here they don't have a true valuation because it's always a profit for them. It's just how big a profit they can get. So they have to maximize the expected profit. This equation will be later on be taught. And let's jump into the next one, the Vickrey auction. The Vickrey auction stands as the golden child of auction theory. So now imagine an auction where I tell you, be 100% honest with me. Like, be truthful to me. Tell me exactly what this is worth to you. Like, I show you item, I show you headphones, I show you anything, and I ask you, tell me exactly how much this is worth to you. And I promise, I won't charge you that much. You would think it's a scam, of course. Like when I say I sell this for you in than the less than the market price, anyone would think it's a scam, right? But that's the Vickrey auction. It is the only place in the universe where being a truth teller is the most selfless, profitable move you can make. By charging you the second highest price, not the point, second highest price. This changes the entire thing of the auction. The math removes the penalty for honesty. It's the honest man's auction. The people call it the honest men's auction. And it's exactly why Google is a $1 trillion company. They didn't ask advertisers to guess. They built a machine that makes lying expensive. Like the entire setup lies like all bidders must submit a sealed bid. Unlike the English auction where you have to shout it out loud and reveal the information, here you're not seeing anyone else bid or any information is being not being leaked. And this eliminates the strategic timing decisions and the information leakage during bidding. And the highest bidder wins the item, but they pay the second highest bid amount. This is where it gets interesting. They don't pay their own bid, but they pay the second highest bid. This transforms the strategic landscape completely. And it's the true magic. Truth telling becomes the most dominant strategy. Bidders, they don't have any intention to shade their bids now in this victory auction because shading their bid below the true valuation becomes their most tragedy event because they will never pay their full bid, only the runner-up amount. The rules: the winner pays second, and every participant bids a sealed one secret bid. That's it. They can't change their bid later on. It's just one confidential bid throughout the auction, and no one else, not even your bidders, not even the competitors, not even the auctioneer, knows what the others are offering. Even for the auctioneer, it's a thriller. He's expecting high, but he might get low or he might get high. He even doesn't know what he will get at the end. Determining the winner, the person who submitted the numerically highest bid wins the auction and secures the item or contract. That's it. It ends. And setting the price. This is where the twist comes. The winner does not pay their own bid. Instead, they pay exactly the amount of the second highest bid. So let's take a practical example. For example, I bid 100 rupees for a market value item and Tanmay bids 85 and one of you guys bid 70. So technically I won the bid, but I won't pay 100 because Tanmay bid 85. 85 is the second highest bid. So I just have to pay 85 and win the item and the entire thing. It's the truth telling one. Like I said, in most every conventional auction format, bidders engage in strategic bid shading, like majority seen in English auction. Like bid shading is the most common thing, like deliberately bidding less than their true valuation to ensure profitability. This acquires complex calculation, game theory knowledge, and risk assessment. The psychological burden is significant in these. But however, when you come to the Vicray auction, which possesses a remarkable property, where the dominant strategy is to bid to a true valuation. It's like you have to be truthful to yourself. You don't have to see others. You don't have to watch your opponents or your final competitors. You just have to be truthful to you, and whatever money you have, you just have to bid. If you bid more, what if you have to pay more? So just be truthful. This means that regardless of what other bidders do, you can't improve your expected outcome by deviating from honesty. Honesty is the only way where you can get your expected outcome. So this entirely transforms the auction from a psychological battle into a straightforward declaration of value. The bidder simply ask themselves, like, ask yourself, how much is this worth to me? And just bid the exact amount. No second guess, no complex calculation, no gaming the system. So let's take a logical proof. Let's work through a concrete example to understand why truth telling is optimal. Imagine your true value for an item is 100 rupees. So we'll see. Let's take a scenario where I bid 120. So I bid more than the actual true optimal valuation. My private optimal valuation of that item which is being sold is 100, but I paid 120. This doesn't increases my chance of winning a prize at all. The only effect is risking the winning when the second highest bidder say, like there's a other rational one who bid 110. Then I have to pay 110 rupee for an item which is just worth 100. Result is I get a loss of 10 rupees. And next scenario is underbidding. I bid 80 instead of the true market value 100. This doesn't lower the price because it's been determined by the other bidders amount. I only increase the risk that someone else bid 90 and wins the entire item because of me. Because I bid the item for 80 and he walks away with it happily. You missed a profitable opportunity. Like I missed the profitable chance where I could have had an item if I had bid more closer to my true market valuation. And the most optimal scenario is where the truthful bidding. My private valuation is 100 rupees. So I bid exactly 100. And if I win whatever, the second highest bid is like below 100, then I win. I never pay more than 100. And I can maximize my chance of winning without ever forcing myself to pay more than what I think the item is worth. This is the most optimal outcome ever. The logic is simple. Bidding your own true valuation maximizes your expected utility while eliminating risk. This is why economists call the Vickrey auction a truth-telling mechanism. So the next one is first price auction. So the first price auction presents the most common uh, blind auction format used in practice. This mechanism dominates government procurement, construction bidding, real estate transactions, and online advertising auctions. So this in this game, there is no shouting, no theater, and no second chance. You write a number on a piece of paper and drop it in a sealed envelope and hope for the best. That's all you have to do. Nothing else you can hope. But here's the mathematical trap. If you bid exactly what you think the item is worth, you have already lost. Why? Um, Anyone knows why? Because exactly zero. You won't you won't have any profit. You got the item, but you gained no economic edge, no profit, nothing at all. This forces every rational human being in a first price auction to become a calculated liar. This is where the place you lie. You lie the hell out of you to get a profit. We call this bit shading. Let's talk about the bit shading. It's the math of the margin. The mathematics here is a brutal trade off between margin and probability. If I value a contract at 1 million, do I bid 900k to secure a 100k profit? Or do I drop it to 700k and risk losing to a competitor just to chase a bigger payday? You get my point? The more you wish, the more greed you have to get the more profit, the higher your chance of losing the auction is more. The formula is elegant but unforgiving. Your optimal bid is your true valuation multiplied by n minus 1 divided by n. Here, where the n stands for the number of bidders or the number of people in the room. As the room gets crowded, your ability to lie shrinks. Get my point? When the group, when the auction area is being held participants like more than 100, 200, or even 500 who are willing to bid, the chance of bid shading, the chance where you can lower the market value of the entire item is far less because each have their own true valuation and they stick to it, majority, hopefully. Or else, if it's like 10 people or 8 people, you can generally bring the whole market value down. And this forces the people to bid towards the lower area because they thinks they are bidding much more higher than everyone else. But in the other case, when as the room gets crowded, your ability to lie shrinks. You are forced to bid closer and closer to the truth just to stay in the game, leaving you with a small, tiny margin for error. But here's the thing, all this can happen simultaneously, and the strategic complexity is substantial. Bidders must engage in a bid shading. Like, imagine if they don't want the auctioneer to have a profit, and they don't want anyone to get a profit, or they don't want the auctioneer to go home happily. Like, they want to have a fun. They want to make the entire thing profitable towards them. It's far more easy than you think. It's like how the things work, but exactly how. Too little shading risk overpayment, but too much shading risk losing to a low valued competitor. That's the tricky part. If you shade more, the chance of you losing to the other competitors is high. But if you shade too less, the profit you're getting is far more low. Yeah. So this auction, this is the dollar auction, one of the most craziest and the funniest one. The dollar auction is basically called as a trap. Like, imagine I want to end the game in economics. I would say it would be the dollar auction. This is where math turns into a horror movie. It starts with greed, trying to buy a dollar for a cent. It ends with two people fighting to pay $5 for a $1 bill just to avoid being a loser who pays for nothing. This is a sunken cost fallacy in its purest and most lethal form. It's a mirror for every bad relationship, every failed business projects, and every unwinnable war. The math tells us one thing: the only way to win a rigged game is to never place a bet. The trap. The escalation of commitment. The auction usually follows three distinct phases that reveals the psychological trap. Phase 1, the greed, the rational opportunity. At first, people bid because they see it as an easy profit. If the current bid is at 20 rupee, bidding 25 seems like a smart way to buy a 100 rupee. Initially, bidding feels safe and calculated. Bidders believe that they can exit before reaching the price value. They think they can exit right at the moment where they think it's going to be a loss. Second phase, the break even point. As the bidding reaches 95 for a 100 rupee, the second highest bidder, who sits at 90 rupee, faces two choices. The first choice is to quit the entire game, leave, and lose 90 rupee. So I forgot to mention, like, the dollar auction is the one where you pay. Whoever bids, they have to pay. It's not like the only the winner has to pay. It's not that anything like that. It's the more, that's why it's called the most lethal form, because this is where everyone pays. Whoever commits to it has to pay. Like, most auctions have a safety net. If you lose, you keep your money. Like, nothing else gonna happen with you. You just tried, you lost. Nothing's gonna leave your pocket. But what if I told you there's the format where everyone pays? That's this one, the dollar auction or the all pay auction. You can call it as an all pay auction. The math behind lobbying in politics and races in tech and biological evolutions. Like, when they both have to pay, when two people have to pay the energy cost, or they have to pay a much similar cost, only one gets the prize. The loser doesn't just lose the money, he loses the entire thing. He loses the entire money he has put onto the table. In the business world, this is a war. It's a brutal reminder that sometimes the cost of competing is so high that even the winner ends up bankrupt. Like I said, the second bidder he has two options. The first option is to like quit the game, lose everything, or like bid 100 rupees. You see my point? Like he's paying 100 rupees to get 100 rupees, which makes completely no sense. Like then why he bid at the first point? If they are winning, they pay 100 and get 100. So the net loss is zero. Then why would he participate? So if you think it like that, it's fine. But if you think in the other way, if he quit, like he chose the first option, he quit, he loses 90. But then if he bid 100, he's not losing anything. What if the other bidder feels like it's going to be a loss? There's no point wasting more money and he withdraws. He will get the 100 rupees for 100 rupees, which basically he didn't play the game. You can consider this as he never played the game. But it's not like that. This is the trap, the proper form of the trap. Phase 3. This is where the guilt or the death takes place. Like, this is where the room goes silent. The previous one, like the one who has bid 100 right now, has a net loss of zero. The previous bidder, who is now at 95, is about to lose 95 rupees. So, in order to minimize their loss, they will bid 105. Now, they are paying more than the price, which actually is worth. Like, who would pay in their right mind for a 100 rupee note, 105 rupee? This is the place where they pay because the price is worth just to lose than their current debt. Usually in these type of auction, the top two bidders often keep going until they are bidding 50 rupee, 100 or even 1000 for a single 100 rupee note. Not the point, like 1000, because they don't want to be a loser. Like this is the auction where the most rational individuals, like at the beginning, like I said, the initial phase, they think I'm getting a 100 rupee note. If I bid 20, nothing's gonna go loss. Like they were rational at the beginning, but how irrational individuals' choices can lead to collectively irrational outcomes. That's the point. Collectively rational individuals can overall become an irrational outcome. Once it's past the price value, both the players are locked in. They're dove deep into the war like of attrition, where the only a winner is the auctioneer. That's the golden point. The winner is not actually the bidders, it's the auctioneer. At the end of the day, if you think of it, the auctioneer is the one who gets the profit most of the times because the winners, the bidders, there will be like minimum 5% chance that there will be irrational bidders among the group. That's what the auctioneers expect. So the only winner in these type of auction or the is the auctioneer. And there's also a different thing which is against the auctioneer, which I would like to explain. The bidding rings, or you can call it as a invisible handcuffs. Like we like to think auctions are like the fair markets, but let's talk about the other side. Each phase has its own two sides. Like this, the bidding ring. This is where the math of cooperation beats the math of competition. You saw the thing. Math of corporation beats the math of competition. A group of bidders meets in a hotel room or anywhere right before the auction or before the event and say like I, for example, me and Tanmay, like I won't bid or I won't outbid you today, but then you have to promise me that you won't outbid me tomorrow. That's the deal which we will have in order to turn the competition to turn to themselves. so that the auctioneer won't get a profit. They turn a competitive English auction into a private funeral for the seller's profit. This is where the seller won't get a profit because they are bit shading on the purest form. And no one can do anything because it's their own choice. They are sacrificing one day to gain profit in the other day. But on both of these days, the seller is getting a loss. Like these are the real life examples which happens. Like the governments, they lose billions, not millions, it's billions every year to these rings, bidding rings. It's a reminder that no matter how perfect your mathematical model is, it can always be broken by a handshake in a dark room. Funny. The most successful auctions aren't the one with the highest bid. They are the one where the rules make it impossible to trust your neighbor. So, like, what if I had shook hands with Tanmay that I hope he won't betray me. The first day I bid less, I overly bid shade and I lost. But he won the entire thing. He got a net profit. But what if the next day he ditches me and he again gets a profit? See, that's the entire world where lying seems to be prominent. And the logic, it's all the same. The dominant strategy is like always don't lie, be truthful. The psychological effects. Sunk cost fallacy. Bidders continue because they have already invested money and they don't want it to go to waste. Even though the future cost or the future bid are far away from their own true market valuation or which outweighed the price. But still they go on. This is called a sunk cost fallacy. And we also have the game theory paradox. Rational individual choices, like individually each are trying to minimize a loss, which can alternatively or collectively lead to an irrational collective outcome. Both loss massively amounts of money. Like two bidders, they are trying to be rational. Like I said, for the 100 rupee, if you bid 105, you're having a net loss of just 5 rupee. But the other one will bet 110. So he only have a net loss of 10. If this keeps on going alternate back and forth until both are losing massive amount of money. This creates escalation of commitment. Each additional bid feels justified just to avoid losing the previous investment, creating a compounding effect of irrationality. These biases combine to create what psychologists say or they call a commitment trap, a situation where rational actors are systematically led into irrational behavior by the structure of the game itself. So that's it from my part. But then I would like to show a video which all this time I just explained about the auction, but it feels incomplete without showing a real life auction, how a real life auction works. So let me just show you a YouTube video, a short YouTube video of how English auction works. It's a painting video. One sec. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Ladies and gentlemen, a masterpiece by Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I'm going to start the bidding here at $57 million. $57 million, $58 million now, $58 million, $59 million now, $60 million. Thank you. So Yuki's bidder at $68 million.
Take you all into the mathematical world in order to, for us to get our hands dirty and actually start bidding, or as I say, legal gambling. Okay, just a second. There we go. Okay, let me just conclude on Tharun's part. What he basically told us all was an auction is just a mechanism where multiple buyers compete and the seller, like in the video shown, tries to maximize his revenue. Sounds very simple, right? But where things get interesting is the strategy that lies behind this bidding from every side, from every bidder. So, and then Tharun went on about the four types of auctions: the English, the Dutch, and then the two sealed bids auctions. The first price sealed bid and the second price sealed bid. I won't be explaining it to you all to make it boring. Let's just continue. Well, what if I frame it this way? Doesn't matter whatever the type of auction you are doing to sell your product. I am telling you, at the end of the auction, the revenue generated by each of the particular auction will be on similar terms. Yeah, you heard me right. The revenue generated at the end, doesn't matter the auction type, will be the same. Sounds surprising, right? But it is not. Let me break down the math for you. This thing is done by the revenue equivalence theorem, right? So now let me frame it this way. All of us know about the gas theory, right? 12th standard chemistry, basic chemistry. Yeah, like the gas theory and the gas equation. Would anybody be kind enough to, just unmute and talk to me for like just one question? A simple question. What is the gas equation? Guys? That's okay. Anybody? Okay, so let me tell you. Like as we know, the gas equation is PV is equal to nRT, right? So now Tanmay, you're telling me a gas such random state with a tons lots of entropy and randomness including it within its particle can be quantified and calibrated using just one single formula. PV is equal to nRT. What? Are you mad or what? No, I'm not. I'll tell you. I can calibrate it, but I'll need some specific conditions or limitations for that. Similar is the auction theory. We can calibrate the auction. We can predict what expected value or what expected revenue can be generated just by applying a few little limitations. That is what revenue equivalence theorem does for us. What revenue equivalence theorem or RET states: in standard auctions with risk neutral bidders, independent private values, and symmetric bidders, on average, all auction formats that allocate the item to the highest bidder gives the same expected revenue, right? Fair enough, very simple to understand. Okay, now comes the limitation part, the actual thing that changes everything. In real world, I repeat, it is not that very visible, but on paper theory can always be applied to real world scenarios. The limitations, of course, are the bidders must be rational, as Tharun was very kind enough to explain what a rational bidder is. The one who focuses on his own profit. He doesn't bid in order to make the other person lose his bet, make the other person lose his money, my bad. And the only thing he wants is the item that the bidding is for, and to generate the maximum revenue or profit. The values must be independent, and the bidders must be in a risk neutral format, so that they'll bid according to their own valuation and prices, right? Fair enough. So let me give you an example. You'll be like, okay, this is just theory. How does it work? How does all four auction, give me the same amount of revenue, give me the same revenue? So let's say there is a person A and there is a person B. Both of them have a specific valuation. A evaluates a bottle for 100, B evaluates. Now is the second prize auction. As Tharun very rightly mentioned, second prize auction is the one where both the bidders, place the bids very secretively, and the one the, I'm very sorry for the disturbance. Okay. In the second prize auction, as Tharun very rightly mentioned, the bidding revenue, generated will be equal to the second highest price that is offered in the auction. So let's say I secretively bid rupees 100, or the person A secretively bids 100, and the person B secretively bids rupees 60. In any ways, whoever wins, like in this case, it's clear that I'll win, but the amount I have to pay will be rupees 60. Why? Because this is the rule of the second prize auction. Similar is the Dutch auction. Dutch auction price starts at rupees, at a higher price. Let's say it starts at 120 and it goes down till a point it reaches where somebody says, I'll take it. Right? So let's say it starts at 120. Now A, being the smart and the rational bidder he is, he'll know the mathematics behind it, and he'll approximate the value of the revenue generated or the bidding he should place as somewhere around 50. There is a formula behind it, guys. We'll be covering that very shortly. But okay, let's say he'll know the value will be rupees 50. So what he'll think, he'll take an error margin. Everybody takes some error margin, of course. He'll take the error margin of, let's say, 10%, because the amount he is bidding is also very less, right? So he'll think A, like the person B, will be bidding somewhere around the range plus 10 or minus 10. So he'll think the worst case scenario. Let's say A bid 60. That is a very, optimistic or a utopic guess that he is making because he is very right. But let's say he thinks that. So what he'll do is basically he'll bet around somewhere 70, or when the price reaches 70, he'll be like, yes, I want that. And the price of this bottle in this case is rupees 70. So like as we have seen in the first case it was 61, second case is it was 60, in the Dutch auction it's 70. And I'll be like in the first price auction also, with the help of bid shading, the fact that Tarun mentioned, people are smart and they shade their bid, they bid lower than what they value the product or the thing that the bidding is going on for. So people will shade their bid, and let's say in the first price auction also, the person A bid somewhere around 70 and the person bid somewhere around 50, and the bottle eventually will go to the person A because his bid is the highest and person A will be paying 70. Okay. Well, Tanmay, you claimed that all four biddings will give me same exact revenue. Right. 70 is not equal to 60 and not at all close to 60. But the theory of RET says that on an average, across many formats, revenue generated is same. Not equal, but same. Similar to the triangles, they are not congruent, but they are similar. Like let's say A bids case 1 65 in the first price auction, or case 2, let's say he bids 58 or 72. On an average across many auction, that will lie, A will somewhat bid around 50 to 70, and the bid on average will be around rupees 60, right? So how would A know if he should bet 60? You'll ask me. So that we'll see with the help of this formula, the first price revenue formula. Okay, this looks very tangible and very complicated, but it is not, trust me. So for this, let me tell you the before this context, the four types of auction, the English and the Dutch and the two sealed bidding auctions, right? The assumption part comes mainly for the sealed bidding auctions because the values are unpredictable. You don't know what the real value is. You have to play the game of chance. And we as math students, we know we don't play the game of chance. Wherever there is a possibility of taking a chance, we calculate our probability. Right. So let's calculate that. Assume we have n bidders. N is the number of bidders. Each value v lies in the uniform distribution 0 to 1. This is just a basic statement or the mathematical statement stating that the values will be independent and the values can lie between the entire range. Doesn't matter what the conditions or what the probability is. Everything will be neutral and in a fair format. Okay, so now this formula B of V is equal to n minus 1 by n into V. V is the valuation that you think the bottle is for. B of V that you will be placing, right? So in this case, like I mentioned, A will for sure know, or A will have a rough idea that B will be bidding rupees 50. So you'll be like, how did you know? So this is the formula I use, like 2 minus 1 by 2. So that is half of the valuation A thought the bottle was for, that was rupees 100. So half of 100, that is 50. So A will be assuming B will be bidding somewhere around rupees 50. Okay, so but then how do you explain this formula? Well, I'll tell you, think of it this way. What a rational bidder thinks, he thinks that he wants to maximize his profit, right? So what his profit will be? B of V minus V. Let's call B of V as B. For the bidder, his profit will be B minus V, right? B of V or B is the price he'll be bidding, and V is the valuation he thought it was for, right? So the profit is B of V. Now we know the higher the value of B, the higher the value of bid, the more chances of winning. The person for whom the higher the value of B is, the chances of winning the bid or winning the auction is more. But you know what happens in when you increase the value of B, the chances of you making profit slightly reduces. You know, you have a particular valuation and you are increasing your bid to near the valuation, the chances of you making profit are like you make a very small profit. Similarly, on the other hand, if you want to maximize your profit, then the chances of you winning the actual auction will reduce. So we can, just conclude it such way that the winning probability will be directly proportional to V and will be inversely proportional to B, right? The higher the valuation, sorry, the higher the bidding price, like of B, the more chances of us winning. The higher the profit we want, the less chances of us winning. Now, mathematically speaking, the win probability will be directly proportional to B by V whole raised to n minus 1. You'll be like, huh, where did that n minus 1 come from? I told you all, n bidders are there, right? Excluding you, n minus 1 bidders. And let's say we have an uniform distribution between 0 and 1. Let's say the value of a particular thing or the value of V is 0.7. Now I ask you, what is the probability that you win? Then you'll think the probability, or in order for me to win, the value of others should lie below 0.7, right? So the probability that the other values will lie below 0.7 is 0.7 raised to the power number of bidders are there, right? So in this case, that will be b by v whole raised to n minus 1. And after solving this differential equation, or with the help of functions, relations, and much differentiation and integration, we conclude with this formula: b of v is equal to n minus 1 by n into a v. This is a very simple but a very beautiful formula. Remember, this is the first price revenue formula. We'll be using this in the later part. Now, the RET, the theorem that stated everything will generate the same revenue no matter what type of auction it is, can be proved using this. This is the estimated value theorem, or the value that helps us estimate the bid of the other person, or that helps us estimate the value of our own bid, like what will be bidding and how will be bidding. So let's say the highest value is v1 and the second highest value is v2. Okay, very simple. Now, from the uniform 0 to 1 distribution, something happens. The expected second highest value will be E of V of 2 is equal to n minus 1 by n plus 1, and the expected highest value will be n by n plus 1. You'll be like, whoa, 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 wait, you are just throwing formulas and numbers at me. Okay, wait, I'll, explain how that works. Okay, so now we had n bidders, and each value we know is from the uniform distribution 0 to 1. So that means the probability is independent. Now remember the set theory from the 12th grade. Whenever independent cases are there, we directly multiply all the cases. So let's say we first sort the values in order, in a descending order, such that v1 is the highest and v2 is the second highest. Now, since all cases are independent, and the thing we previously saw with the example of 0.7 being the number we choosing from uniform distribution, p of v1, the any probability will being less than 0.7 will be x to the power number of bidders are present, right? So the probability in this case is x to the power n. So this thing is the function that we have got. Now let's get back to this beautiful formula of ours. What this says is E of P of V, basically estimated value of the price that we are going to bid for a particular thing will be the estimated value of the integral 0 to V x, the price that we value the thing for, f of x, the probability function or the probability density function that the value of that thing can be x, similar to the eigenvalues thingy, similar, and x into f of x together is a weighted function that we need to calculate in order to get our own value. So in this case, we got our f of x as x to the power n, and now for us to solve everything, we do this: x into n into x to the power n minus 1 dx. So where did that one come from? One bidder is you all, guys. Of course, you'll remove yourself in order to estimate what others might be bidding. Okay, so now when we calculate the integral as a normal integral, we get estimated value of v of 1 is equal to n by n plus 1. Very simple. Okay, now let me ask you, if you have a number, a fraction, and you want a number, a fraction that is just less than that particular number. So what you will do, what any rational person will do, he'll subtract 1 from the numerator, and thus we get our second highest value as n. Oh, I'm very sorry. Second highest value as n minus 1 by n plus 1. So now in the second a price auction, that is a part of a sealed bid auction, what we have to do is basically we have to pay the second highest value. So in the second bid auction, second price auction, I'm sorry, we have to pay n minus 1 by n plus 1 amount. Now in the first price auction, what happens is we use the prior formula. Which formula? This. I'm sorry, this formula. B of V is equal to n minus 1 by n into V, where B of V is the value we are calculating and V is the value that we think it is valuated for. And as the highest bidder we are, for us, the value of V is, as we saw, is n by n plus 1. And after putting it and placing it in this formula, we generate a revenue, or we generate the estimated revenue as n minus 1 by n plus 1, which, as you all will remember, is the same as the second price auction, thus justifying RET for you. Now coming to the most interesting part, winner's curse. What if I tell you winning is actually not worth it? Like if you win an auction, it's all nice, it's all yay, I won the auction, nobody can beat me. But what if I tell you you were like the most confidently stupid person in that room to win that auction? How is that? Winner's curse explains that for you. What winner's curse actually is. In auctions with common or uncertain value, the winner tends to be the bidder who overestimates the true value of the item, and therefore it is likely that he is likely to pay more than it is actually worth, right? The winner is often who is the most wrong, as I told you all. And now you'll ask me, why does this happen? Even you'll know, everyone estimates a different value for things. Like the example I gave for the bottle, I'll value it for 100, somebody else will value it for 60. Everyone's estimates differ. And what happens in an auction is basically the highest estimate wins. So let me give you an oil field example, like Tarun mentioned. Suppose companies are bidding for an oil field. The true value is unknown, right? Each company makes a guess. The one who guesses highest wins, but that likely means they were the most optimistic and possibly wrong. Okay, now let me give you a numerical example. Like the true value of an item is, let's say, rupees 100, and we have four people betting on it with the estimates 80, 90, 110, 120, doesn't matter. So as the estimates are, the winner of course pays rupees 120, and thus he pays, or incurs a loss of rupees 20, that is 120 minus 100. So in this case, the winner's curse is activated, and it is actually a loss for that person, not a win-win situation. Now you'll ask me, when does it occur? Yeah, let me first classify values for you. There is a private value and there is a common value. When the scene is of a private value, there is no curse, but when a common value is there, like when the value is personal, like for an art or the collectible, then it is no problem, because you value the art on your own terms, you value a particular piece of work on your own terms, and if it feels justifiable to you, you pay equivalently, right? But when the value is common for everyone, like for oil, spectrum, or minerals, when the bidding is going on, the winner's curse becomes a serious issue. People don't think, why did I win? They think, I bet everyone. And that mindset, directly leads them to overpaying. And as Tharun very rightly mentioned, auctions aren't just math, they are psychological. Once people get competitive, they stop thinking rationally. So you'll ask me, okay, why is it relevant to, whatever you guys are presenting? It is linked to auction theory in such a way. Like everyone knows their own value, whatever private values they have for a particular thing, and these values are independent. In a clean world, there is no winner's curse. Like in a clean world, in the sense, the ideal case where we imagine everyone to be a rational bidder. But in real world, the item has a true value. Not every value is accountable for the true value, but nobody knows what exactly it is. Everyone is trying to make an estimate, and smart bidders reduce bid, they use bid shading, they account for uncertainty. And why do they account for uncertainty? Because that is caused by our beautiful and our beloved winner's curse. Now let me give you some real life examples. You'll be like, okay, this is all just on paper. Why and where is it useful? Let's say you want to bid for some government contracts or government resources. We know government auctions are where all this theory, revenue equivalence, and winner's curse stops being a classroom stuff, and it starts costing you real billions. Now we know government sells public resources to private players using such auctions. Well, one such example is spectrum auctions or the telecom auction. What the government does It basically sells airwave frequencies. Telecom companies like Jio, Airtel, etc. Bid, and these frequencies are used for mobile networks like 4G and 5G, the one which I'm using to talk to you all, and the one you're currently using to listen to me. Okay, now as the standard winner's curse goes, the winner overbids, and what strategic pressure overrules the rational thinking part. Like what strategic pressure? Let's say like everybody knows Jio is owned by Ambani, right? Now I won't have Ambani sitting with me for the spectrum auction. Of course, he'll be represented by a person, someone who is working for him. And for him to live up to the name of Jio, or to uphold the standard, is a very high pressure, and it is a very strategic game behind it. And one small mistake, it can cost the entire dynasty and the entire kingdom that Ambani sir has built. So, in this case, strategic pressure overrules rational thinking, and the long-term uncertainty is hard to model, and people tend to forget that, and thus the winner's curse is activated. Another such example in government basis is about the government contracts. Okay, like the roads, bridges, and defense contracts. But there is a little bit twist here. All these auctions are a type of English auction, but this thing is a type of Dutch auction. Here the lowest bidder often wins, because contracts are laid out, and the government is supposedly supposed to pay the contractors in order to do their work. What happens here? The lowest bidder wins. Here the curse flips, as the winner may underbid and incur a loss. Like how may underbid and incur a loss? Let's say I work for an X amount of rupees, but my contractor has already bid some a value that is less than X. So it is clearly a loss, and thus the statistical, or the winner's curse again comes into the picture. Now let's come to the very ongoing recent thing, or the very major part of auctions, IPL auctions. The IPL auctions is where teams bid for players. Each player goes to the highest bidding team, and each team has a fixed salary or a fixed budget that is called as the salary cap. It basically is like you have a fixed amount of rupees. You can hire 11 to 15 players in that, and that you have to do in a fixed amount. Let's say in general cases it is about 90 to 100 crores. So how it works: a name of the player comes up, the base price is announced, team starts bidding, and price by price, the step by step, the prices starts increasing, and the last team standing, as in the English auction, wins, and the winner pays their own final bid. Okay, we know about this. Now, how is it connected to auction theory? The value of player is uncertain in general cases, or in all the cases. People just have an estimate about the rough value, or the value that is provided to them at the start of the auction, but they don't know which team will be bidding for what will be the price hike, what will the final valuation of this lead. The value of player is uncertain, as it depends on forms, injuries, how the team fits according to that player, and the future performance that the player promises. This makes it a common value plus uncertainty problem auction. Now, how is winner's curse applicable in IPL auctions? Like, let me give you an example. I am very sorry for all the Rishabh Pant fans out there. Like, as you might know, in 2025 auctions, Rishabh Pant, the valuation was bid for rupees 27 CR. Mind it, 27 CR. And LSG Lucknow was the team that bid rupees 27 for Rishabh Pant. But you know what happened? In just one match, Rishabh Pant scored 100. Others, he was like dug, 2 runs, 1 run, and basically, a drastically bad performance. So in this case, it was a huge, not even huge, if I am, undermining the word, it was a major loss, because you evaluate a player for 27 crore and he just performs you in one match. That is, a clear loss. Thus, the winner's curse coming back into action. Now, the fact that Tharun mentioned, Google Ads is, where actual auction theory, the winner's curse, the RET, everything comes into picture. Google Ads is how companies compete to show their ads when you search something. Example, you search buy shoes, or you wanna buy shoes, you just search shoes. Multiple companies want their ad on top, and what Google basically does is basically it runs an auction in milliseconds. Now, what are people bidding for? The product? No. The customer, that is you? No. What they are bidding for is clicks. This system is called PPC or pay per click. What pay per click is, like, companies don't know, right, how many people will buy, how much profit they will make. So what they do in general sense is basically they estimate the value of a click. For them, one click is rupees worth X to them. Let's say they have this as the assumption or this as the estimate. Now let me give you a very simple example. Let's say you earn rupees 500 from a sale. This is the profit you make, okay? And one out of your 10 clicks converts. Conversion of a click is basically, let's say I visit your site and I buy your product. So that is your click being converted to a revenue, right? So 10 clicks for me generate rupees 500. So that directly means one click will approximately generate rupees 50 for me, right? So what should you bid for that one click? You'll bid around rupees 50 per click. Now, Google Ads work on, a very interesting concept called ad rank. What ad rank basically is? Ad rank is the score Google uses to decide which ad appears where. Like, higher the ad rank, better the position, and like better position in the sense at the top of the search. Ad rank is not just basically about the money. It is about how much you bid into how good your ad is. You can estimate using this formula. Ad rank will generally be equal to your bid into the quality score of your website, or whatever link you are pasting, that is supposed to be at a top of your search or top of any search of a user. Now you'll ask me, how does this auction work? So basically it works in such a format: whoever has the better ad rank will go to the his website, will go on top. And I don't pay exactly when I bid or when my ad is shown. I pay every single time someone clicks on it. Let's say my ad, as per my ad rank, is on top, and 10 people click on it, and for me I bid the valuation, or for me the bid was rupees 10 for that top position and for the top ad rank. So let's say 10 people click on it. What I'll have to pay at the end of the day, or after every single click, is 10, 10, 10 after each and every click. So let's say throughout the day only 10 clicks occur, and then I have to just pay rupees 100 for it. Now you'll ask me, what quality scores depends on? Quality scores depends on the relevance. Like, does your ad match the search? Expected CTR, that is click to return ratio. Like, will people actually click on it? And how is your landing page? After clicking on your website, is the website or the web page actually useful and people might buy from it, or is it just normal bullshit trash? Right. So let me give you an example. There is an advertiser A. For him, his bid is rupees 100, and the quality, as per the quality score, is 5. So what the ad rank will be, as we saw in the previous formula, 100 into 5, that is 500 rupees. And for B, he bids rupees 80, but the quality for him, as per the ad rank or the quality score, is 9. What the ad rank he'll be getting is 720. Now, even though A bids more, B wins, because the website or the quality he's providing is much better. So in Google Ads, it is not just about money; it's about value. Now you'll ask me, how much do I pay then actually? Well, you definitely don't pay your bid. Google uses the second price logic. What does it say? You don't bid your bid, you don't pay your bid, you pay just enough to beat the next advertiser. You estimate a value of click. If the estimate is wrong, let's say, you estimate like very much and you overpay. So in this case, you'll be, not winning more, but in this case, you'll be losing more. Now what the dangerous part is, now like I explained, how does Google ad works? You have to pay after each and every click. So basically you lose on every click. So better you perform in the auction, the faster money you lose. Let's say you bid 100, as I said, for one click. I said 10, but let's say you bid rupees 100 for a click, and that very random day, you incur a, more than more than expected footfall. Let's say like tons and millions of people actually find your site interesting and they click on it. I'm not saying ki those are actual convertible clicks. I'm just saying those are clicks. Now you are in a big money trap because you evaluated your click more than you should have, and now you are incurring a major loss. So this is why you should be very accountable if you are planning to bid for Google ads next time. Now, coming to an end, we saw that winning an auction doesn't always, right? It might mean you are more confidently wrong than everyone else, right? Now, finally, we do know how to bid. Well, okay, like before you all assume an answer, let me give it to you. You bid responsibly, you bid mathematically, and for God's sake, you don't bid entirely with everything what you have. Because in this modern day Kalyug, all of us are Shakunis. Nobody is as noble as the Pandavas. Thank you very much, guys. That is all from my part. Over to you, Tarun.
So yeah. So now let's just do a small quiz. I hope you all have listened. Like, let's do a small fun quiz. One second. Can you see? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, yeah. Guys, just do one thing. Like, we won't be asking you physical questions in person. What you have to do is just Tarun will be pasting a link of this or the QR. Just scan it and just play the quiz as per however you want. And I promise the next night slip of it must we have. I'll be giving you any chocolate, whatever your favorite chocolate is, the one who wins for sure.
You can scan the QR or you can go on to quiz.com and type the pin code. We'll wait for 5 minutes until like majority gets in.
भाई डायमंड लेके मत आओ
So guys, like, do join it. Like, now I can see 11 people. We'll wait for 1 more minute and we'll start the quiz. I think we'll start the quiz. Guys, the last question is double points. I repeat, last question is double points. So answer carefully.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for playing. And like, as I can see the scores, like all of you actually paid attention to us. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. Thank you.
And and the winner 24 BC, he or she can claim the chocolate from Tanmay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Next time we meet, please let me know your registration number, and I'll be coming with a chocolate for the one who won.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Guys, the Google form for the attendance is in the chat. You guys can fill the form and leave. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something to Tanmay. Is he there?
Tanmay?
Yeah, I'm there. Go on.
Yeah, you added a point that you were constantly saying throughout the thing that
Mm-hmm.
the person who wins is not the actual winner. He's eventually the loser. And you gave the example of Pant. But then we can also view it like that uh, we as viewers don't understand some elements of what the bidders are putting into their valuation. Like when Sanjeev Goenka was picking out Pant, he wasn't just looking for a batter. He was looking for a captain in the long term. So we can't evaluate a failure or the winner just by looking at the valuation because we don't know what he has planned. So, but and going forward with it, if the winner was the loser, then auctions wouldn't have existed in the first place.
I value your input very much, and yeah, you are right about the thing. Like you remember, if you like, I placed like values into two separate bins, one being the private value and one being the common value. The IPL auctions, or like the one I mentioned, are private sentimental auctions, and in that the bids placed are the winner's curse, and whatever theory what I said, or the claims I made is completely irrelevant. Agreed on that. I just made that as an example, a real world and a recent example to explain to people like how winners curse might be applicable in IPL auctions. Though I completely agree with what you said. Everything has its own value in a sentimental place, and I can't be the judge of character or the judge of character of that decision that has been made during that auction.
Yeah, I was not pinpointing the Pant example as such, but I was just telling in general.
Okay. I just thought an LSG fan got offended. No
Nah,
worries.
nah,
Thank you
nothing
so
like
much
that.
for your input. Thank you so much for your input. I really
Thanks for the
appreciate it.
presentation. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.